Well, hello, everyone. Don Garman here again. Here we are, month 9 of the year, September 2024. Coming on briefly today to share a couple of thoughts about the positioning in the markets on what certainly is going to be a bit of a rough day. And then also to talk about something we've gotten a fair amount of incoming or inbound interest and questions about. And I wanted to highlight a solution that many of you may or may not know we have the ability to access on your behalf. So first onto the markets here. So coming off what was a high for us on Friday, here we are in September, and it's a bit of a bruiser. It can be simplified into here we are in September, which is seasonally not the best month of the year. It's well documented. A lot of people shorthand or use these heuristics to figure out how to position themselves, and came in today from vacation and decided to press this sell button on a lot of things that they have had that have worked. And so technology is feeling the acute pain, but there's pain far and wide, to be sure. What worries me about this month and period is my shorthand has always been relative to earnings and where the direction or the future direction of earnings are trending or will be. So those of you who've watched these month after month know I talk about this a lot. 2 years ago, the earnings for 2024 this year, which is almost 3/4 over, were expected to be $274-ish for the S&P 500. As we've talked about, they have trended down for all kinds of reasons. And we're trending up for 2024 even a couple of months ago. We talked about 244, 245, which admittedly is a lot lower than 275, but they were moving up in the upward direction. Now that's reversed. Now we're back to 241 with 4 months to go in the year. And it is a bit hard to imagine that 241 will hold as a real number with the remaining 4 months of the year. Be hard to get there. That's going to be a lot of growth in earnings in Q4 of this year, which is coming up rapidly. So as I've talked about before, loosely speaking, the direction of forward earnings is typically the direction of the indexes in the markets. So do I have some caution for the next period of time? Definitely. That has absolutely been reflected in strategies across the board, and will probably be even more demonstrable in the strategies in the next period of time. So that's not drastic, as we've talked about. It's never all in or all out. It's always a little more or a little less around our core positions. So we're tracking some of our core positions, our long-held core positions, very closely right now. As we know, change is ever present in the world, and some changes to businesses are more challenging for them than others. So some of that stuff is certainly on our radar screen. So stay tuned. If there's a need for a second video in September, then we will be out with that. But right now, this is just first day of September jitters, let's call it, and after a relatively quiet, if you will, August. Now on to the second piece. So this has been a recent but significant trend in our client discussions, and it has to do with long-held family real estate. So the playbook that has been well and successfully utilized by many of you for decades has been around this 1031ing your real estate, which is simply a way of trading real estate for other like-kind real estate and not having to pay tax. And so you can transition into a more attractive asset or something that has more upside. All of those type of things are reasons you might want to consider this. But now, many of you have said, we don't necessarily want to keep the real estate, but we don't want to pay tax on it because of California regulations and different, personal reasons. Well, many of you don't know, we actually have a very effective way of helping in that situation, which is we have access to a firm that does these 1031 exchanges, and we have the ability to select very purposefully what type of assets you want to trade into. It can be other places in the country. It can be different types of assets like student housing or multifamily or industrial. So we have the ability to do a lot more customization and 1031 type work for clients than we certainly had access to a decade ago. So I will do a deeper dive on this as we've done with Social Security and Medicare. I think this is worthy of its own discussion. So we will do another standalone 1031 discussion that you can either choose to watch or not, or forward to friends that may have an interest. So be looking forward to that in the upcoming, weeks, probably not months. And I think that would be, a way to demonstrate our capability in this, which is a lot more robust than it has been, and more on types of things like this over the coming months, if not a little longer, because we've got a lot we're working on relative to those type of options. So are we super enthusiastic about the next 4 weeks? Probably not. The next, we've got jobs reports coming up later this week, and we've got the Fed meeting later this month. Almost certainly after the news today, there will be a cut in our future. People are, celebrating that as a great thing. It's not necessarily a great thing, because it certainly indicates that there will be some slowing, as as is evidenced presently. And where that stops, nobody knows. Certainly not today is not knowable. So we have to be ever vigilant on what to do in either case. So I'll leave it there for now. Thanks as always for anything. Reach out if you have any questions or concerns. And until next month, or perhaps sooner, we will see you soon. Thanks, everyone.